It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, the title of today's episode is The Once Employed OEM CEO versus the Troll. What has happened in 3 years? Hopefully, you bet on the troll. Some of you might be confused because you also see the Konica Minolta logo, and right next to that logo, you see the End of the Day with Ray YouTube channel logo. Folks, there was a meeting in January of 2022 held in the desert. And the once employed OEM CEO made a comment about a troll, an internet troll who was negative on the industry. And folks, when I heard that back in 2022, I thought to myself, he's got to be talking about me, because no one in the print industry that's on the internet says anything negative about the industry. I mean, my gosh, our industry can't have any kind of negative discussions, and at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff that's going on in our industry, well, I talk about it. I talk about it on the internet. And if you're status quo, you're not going to like it. It's going to come across negative. I mean, if you're leading an OEM as an example, and that OEM's financials are a train wreck disaster, and I'm bringing that up, well, you're going to see that as being negative. You know? I mean, folks, come on. There's a lot of things I talk about that absolutely drive status quo people crazy, and more importantly, drives people crazy that don't want that awareness brought forward. So I thought today I would go back in time, and I'll ask the questions. Would you have been better off? Well, listening to the troll. So we got to start out, well, at the meeting in the desert back in January of 2022. And folks, you know, we got it on video. Let me just blow this up for you really quick so we can listen to it. Listen to this.
Important because we've got a few, I call them internet trolls, that just want to talk about negative stuff in our business. And one
internet trolls talking about negative stuff in our business. You know, I got to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. What I really found to be extremely, well, I guess you could say, ironic about that discussion they were having on stage, well, is the title of it, for one. The title of it was Pacific Office Automation CEO Discusses Vetting Partners and the Importance of Vetting Your Partners. And I'm thinking to myself, holy crap. You know, if that once employed OEM CEO was paying more attention about the topic of vetting your partners and how important that is, he might be better off, or at least the OEM he's working for might be better off today. Because I started thinking to myself, you know, holy crap, we know what's going on at Pacific Office Automation regarding their CEO. I mean, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, could you imagine? I mean, if that once employed as a CEO of an OEM was vetting their partner, Pacific Office Automation and the CEO, would things have been a little different? I mean, and then I think, this is really scary. I started thinking, oh my gosh, what if they knew? What if they knew what was going on at POA? You know, I still believe that there'll be more coming from this lawsuit, and maybe during some kind of disclosure, we'll find out if anybody at Konica Minolta knew what was going on. Maybe they did do some vetting over there at POA. Maybe they didn't. But we're sure going to find out sooner or later, I'm sure. But ladies and gentlemen, 3 months after the CEO brought up the internet troll, he wasn't there anymore, booted out. So then I started thinking, well, maybe the board at Konica Minolta actually watched the End of the Day with Ray. And they were listening to what I was saying. They didn't see it as negative. They saw what I was saying as, we got to make some changes. Because, ladies and gentlemen, oh my gosh, in the year 2021, Konica Minolta, 146 million operating profit loss. In FY 2022, 623 million operating profit loss. Holy smokes. The year they're in right now, which is going to end in March of 2025, well, they're going to be in another big mess. 2023, well, they made a little bit of money, but not very much, like 2%. I'm thinking that the board at Konica Minolta was thinking, we got to make some changes. But then guess what? I don't think they made enough, because not a whole lot's changed, obviously, when you look at the numbers. But when you go back in time and you think about all the stuff they bought regarding All Covered, remember that All Covered? Oh my gosh, the troll was all over that. You can't just run around and keep buying up these companies and pile them on top of other companies and try to get this all to work It's really going to kill you. And I contribute that they're having some issues with this. When you look at their financials, you got to agree, right? And then you read some of the press releases way back then. I'm thinking, man, the marketplace would have been so much better off listening to the troll. I mean, think about some of the things they said. It's an 18 billion managed IT market, but it's very fragmented. This gives us the opportunity to enter the business in a big way. It gives us the strong platform to grow from. There are synergies available by selling these services both direct and through our indirect channel to the 200,000 SMB customers we have today. Boy, all covered. They were going to go out there and let the dealers use all covered, like be a master service provider for dealers. They were going to sell all kinds of stuff. We have managed print today, and it's a natural progression for those customers to request managed IT. Holy crap, has nothing to do with managed print. Everybody found out about that. I was screaming about that for a long damn time. Like I said, probably came across pretty negative when you had your heart set on your copier reps running around selling IT services. Probably came across pretty negative. But then again, what happened? Well, FY 2022, when they had the big impairment charge, well, they recognized some of that impairment charge against the IT services they bought. Holy smokes. Oh my gosh, the ERP system. Well, I gotta be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, the last 3 years proved that the troll was spot on regarding that nonsense. ERP, gonna change the imaging channel. You've seen the episodes. I'm not gonna talk a whole lot about this, but at the end of the day, that was pretty negative. I'm sure those folks were pretty negative. They think, oh, this is terrible, terrible, terrible. I wish you wouldn't say that. Can't we keep faking it until we try to make it? Holy smokes. What else we got here? Oh, the Workplace Hub. Oh my gosh. Boy, I was talking about that nonsense for a long time, and that probably came across pretty negative. But where is the Workplace Hub today? Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Mobotics. You know, I wasn't real happy about this Mobotics thing. I brought it up a couple of different times. Probably came across pretty negative. But I gotta tell you, who's selling it? What division's it going to be under? What business unit's it in? How are the reps going to go out on the marketplace? And, you know, in that FY 2022, when they took that big impairment charge, lost all that money. Well, some of it had to do with Mobotics. Charterhouse. Oh, the marketing business inside the professional print space. I always question that. What the hell's that in the industrial print space? What is this thing? Charterhouse. I mean, the revenues for 2023, $375.2 million. I'm thinking marketing service. Well, that's got to be pretty profitable. But then the overall profit for the industrial print space, the professional print, and the marketing is 5%. It's pretty miserable, right? And of course, I've been telling you all for a long time, and it probably comes across pretty negative to the folks over at Konica Minolta, but I don't really trust the operating profit numbers they share within the professional print and the digital workplace business units because there's so many losses that occur in the corporate, etc., and I think they're probably shifted some costs. But it seems to me that the troll was kind of right about this because in FY 2022, well, guess what? That was kind of in that impairment charge as well. Let's see what else we got. Oh my gosh, the thermostats. Ladies and gentlemen, there I am in my old studio. The end of the day with Ray. I got the little tiny, I didn't have the sharp interactive board back then. The big giant one, I had the little one, right? And the title of that episode was The End of the Day with Ray. 98.6. Now what? I mean, this whole thermostat thing, I've been pretty negative about that from day one. Remember the other thing that everybody was going to do in the industry? All of a sudden, all the restaurants were going to have big production machines because they were going to have to print all the menus because they were going to have to give everybody a menu every time they came in the restaurant. Remember that nonsense? I'm like, what are you people, crazy? So we're out there talking about digital transformation back then. We were talking about digital transformation. We knew the power of the internet. We knew the power of QR codes. But we thought we were going to sell restaurants, production print machines that could print menus. The restaurants figured out really quick. Let's just put a QR code sticker on the table. That was amazing, wasn't it? Some people thought that was pretty negative. I guess the people that were doing the QR codes on the tables thought that was a pretty positive thing to talk about, right? Holy smokes almighty. What else we got here? Oh, the MGI iFoil. You know, I will say this. I think Konica Minolta's got some pretty nice industrial equipment. The problem is, I just don't have any faith in the leadership that are going to be able to actually make it work and sell it. That business has been flat at best. It doesn't really grow. It's very, very low revenue number. The operating profit's not knocking it out of the park, and I still question what they deliver in operating profit. And at the end of the day, I guess we all have to ask ourselves, where do you think we're at with the MGI thing? Sounds pretty negative, but in reality, something to think about. Ambry Genetics, I guess the troll was right on that one. Holy smokes. They buy this thing for $1 billion. We just read not too long ago, they sold it for $600 million. Well, they lost some money on that one, plus all the millions they lost while they had it. I guess the troll was right about that, even though it was negative. Now, think about this, ladies and gentlemen. The troll's been talking to you about these managed service provider platforms, Collaborates being one of them that was owned by Great America. What was the troll? He was telling you, oh, you know, you got to be ready because Great America's going to sell that. And of course, that sounded pretty negative to Great America, but what did they end up doing? Well, they ended up selling it, right? I started talking about all covered, you know. Remember that video that the guy with the hat did with the new CEO of Konica Minolta USA? Talking about how all covered was going to go over in Europe and they were going to be this global IT service provider. I wonder what the update is on all of that. And see, when they said that, I talked about that. It probably came across pretty negative. But again, would you have been better off listening to the troll who might have been negative, or kind of the nonsense that makes everybody feel good? And folks, we got this Great America, more stuff going on. And it might sound pretty negative, that lawsuit. Lawsuits sound pretty damn negative. We'll see how that turns out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to wrap it up with this. I found this article dated December 1st, 2017. It was an interview with the CEO of Konica Minolta. All excited, going into the future. Talking about the two different types of dealers. You know, one of them, I'm just going to be more productive. I'm going to have more sales productivity and better service. I'm going to ride this storm out somehow. Perhaps that's what they were thinking. He was thinking. The second type are the companies who are seeing the digital transformation and pursuing it. The opportunities are broader than we had in some time. And then the key is the augment into core business. So we're not going to go into different areas. Logistics, for example. We're going to do things to keep the core business alive and will, in fact, expand it. Ladies and gentlemen, here's what I believe. I believe this with all my heart. That unrealistic optimism held to zero accountability leads to disastrous financials. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what's happened at Konica Minolta. Year after year after year after year, they had zero accountability. They could go on stage, whatever leader they want to put on stage, and they could talk about how fantastic things are at Konica Minolta, and all you'd have to do is go on their investors relations tab and look at the financials and realize that's not what's going on at Konica Minolta. It's not all great. But they never got any accountability because our industry doesn't like accountability. They think accountability is negative. You know, I'll never forget the webinar. The webinar where the once employed as the CEO of Konica Minolta was talking about how, hey, you got to go out there and seek opportunities. You can't focus on what's not working. I saw that webinar. I did a whole episode on it. What the hell are you talking about? When you understand what's not working, well, then you fix it or you dump it. What you don't do is ignore what's not working and go out and get another opportunity and pile it up on what's not working. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what Konica's been doing. They were doing it before that conversation happened on that stage in January of 2022, and they're still doing it. Let's run around and grab an opportunity and pile it up on top of something that's not working. And that's just insanity. Folks, a lot in today's episode, but I got to ask the question one last time. Would you have been better off listening to the internet troll or the other guy that was talking about the internet troll? Something to think about, because everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck there, and I'll see you all on Monday.